Bag.
In the bag?
Yes, sir, listen, I'm a minor, sir. I have security guards. They left that in my bag, sir. I did not.
This is a little punk. Airport. Gun in the bag.
Yeah.
I go to private school. It's not mine, it's his gun.
Was making money, but he was spending it hand over fist, like you said.
Chrome heart jeans. You got 10 pair of those, do the math. What's that, 100,000?
10 pairs were obtained. Compute. What is that? $100,000. Big Meech is more than simply a moniker. There is an entire movement. A heavyweight in the history of hip-hop and a street legend. They were all based on the Black Mafia family's empire. However, that renown sheen quickly fades the moment his kid Lil Meech enters the spotlight. Do you recall the airport chaos? He had a gun in his luggage. Since Lil Meech has been involved in so much trouble lately, people associate BMF with chaos rather than legacy. Let's face it, there's probably pressure to be Big Meech's son. High pressure. He seems to be following in his father's footsteps and attempting to maintain the gangster persona. However, the steps appear unsteady, too. Be honest, though, everything we've seen indicates that he isn't as built as his father. When people see Lil Meech, they don't see a boss. They observe someone making an excessive effort to participate after the battle. Big Meech transformed the dirt into a dynasty. Lil Meech had a comfortable upbringing, clean streets, a private school, and a life far different from the one BMF left behind. It therefore seems forced when he appears in public wearing that gangster character. And what was it that actually got folks talking? Those accusations of snitching. You may make a lot of mistakes in that world, however, snitching into
Gun in the bag.
Yeah.
I go to private school. It's not mine, it's his gun. You don't know my...
that is the one thing that will permanently damage your reputation. After that, people began giving him the side look. When he became involved in some controversy at the airport once more in 2022, it all started to blow up. In luggage purportedly belonging to Lil Meech, TSA officers discovered a Glock 19. Then, things quickly took a turn for the worse. He began to run his mouth heavy rather than hold it down. He first attempted to assert that, at the age of 22, he was a minor. Subsequently, he claimed that the gun was dropped inside the bag, which was not even his. Now hurry up, talk like that, even though no one is imprisoned. It quickly earns you the reputation of a snitch among the street circles. Lil Meech surrounded himself with actual street guys. In an effort to maintain his reputation, most likely believed it would sell that rugged guy image.
That's who he really is, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these people get caught up and stuck in character.
Lil Meech is not a gangster.
Not at all.
He's the son of a gangster.
However, many of them bounced after the body cam footage from the altercation at the airport was released. They didn't want that kind of intensity associated with their name. Nevertheless, a couple remained. Among them was a man called Thrilick, perhaps hopeful that the turmoil would subside or that Lil Meech would finally show that he was a good fit for life. Three remained firm, however, that loyalty really backfired on him. Everything fell apart by the middle of 2025. Lil Meech was outright exposed doing something crazy on social media. By Thrilick, he asserted that Lil Meech abruptly gave him the blame for a significant incident. All of it began on October 24, 2024. Thrilick was merely following along that day. Supposing they were out doing a few errands, he was unaware, however, that Lil Meech was already being investigated and that the police were observing everything he did. The cops pulled the car over after running the plates and identifying the driver. Meech, however, did not immediately seize. He paused, giving the impression that he was going to run. In the meantime, three lucky people were unconscious in the passenger seat, oblivious to the impending turmoil. It all becomes rather messy when they pull into a parking lot. Lil Meech allegedly begins moving illicit items off of himself and concealing them close to Thrilick's seat while Thrilick is still unconscious. Thus, Thrilick awakens in complete bewilderment when he eventually stops, and the police arrive with sirens blaring and lights flashing, and suddenly he sees the heat hidden next to him. It clicks in that instant as he looks at Meech. The one person he believed had his back has betrayed him.
Sir, my ID's in my bag.
In the bag?
Yes, sir, listen, I'm a minor, sir. I have security guards. They left that in my bag, sir. I did not pack my bag.
Yeah, we can get that all straightened out.
Officers separate them after removing them from the vehicle. When they first begin inspecting the ride, they only discover a few guns. This is Florida now. We're not referring to rigid states like New York or California. Down there, gun regulations are less stringent. The officers weren't even tripping that much then. It appeared as though they would simply let Thrilick and Lil Meech go. However, Lil Meech then does something that no one anticipated without being asked. He just tells the police. Suddenly, he blurts out that the automobile contains more illicit items. Why even say that, really? Unprompted, he divulges additional information that escalates a minor issue. Furthermore, the police had not inquired about anything else. All they could focus on were the firearms. However, Lil Meech offered them a whole new reason to look further the instant he opened his mouth.
Take off on us. It's not pulling into the parking lot. It's stopped right now, but it's registered to Lil Meech.
In an instant, a problem that might have been small quickly became much more serious. Now that firearms and other illicit items were involved, the situation took a drastic turn. 3 Luck is arrested the next moment. The charges have been leveled on him. Ultimately, he receives a sentence of 40 months in prison. This is when things get wild. 3 Luck was first unaware that Lil Meech had spoken to the police. He was unaware that Meech had quietly lost it and blamed him. It likely appeared from where he stood that Meech simply panicked and put the items in the wrong place. He may have thought, alright, I'll take the fall. Despite his heat, while I'm in prison, perhaps Meech will look after me. However, that loyalty was not reciprocated. 3 Lucky once ended up blowing, trying to fight the case with all of his life savings. And Lil Me and his gang didn't contribute a single penny during all of it, complete quiet. But in the end, the truth is revealed. Lil Meech blatantly tells police that there are more illicit items in the car in the body cam film, which 3 Luck has access to. It all made sense at that point, betrayal, and suddenly everything makes sense. Everything begins to make sense. The treachery then hits 3 Luck squarely in the chest, thus, at last, he speaks up. He immediately posts everything on Instagram, including receipts and a sound clip of a phone conversation, in which Lil Meech is clearly heard apologizing. Lil Meech even promised to hold him down and provide some money once the BMF program was revived. During that same call, however, reports began to circulate at that time that 50 Cent had canceled the show and it would not be returning. 3 Luck repeatedly reached out, already sensing the fire. More assurances were made by Lil Meech, but once more, there was no assistance or support. The body cam film is then finally viewed by 3 lucky people. The final straw was when he discovered evidence that Lil Meech had actually cheated on him. He shares everything with the world, no holding back, no filters. Furthermore, folks weren't overly shocked despite the fact that it's a horrible look for Lil Meech. Why? Because rumors that he is disloyal have been around for some time. Regarding his father, the same thing is said. There are rumors that both of them have a history of betraying people. That dubious representative is one of the reasons they no longer even like 50 Cent.
It's not legal what?
To have a firearm.
I'm talking about that.
Huh?
That's
Talking about the other guy? Yeah.
Cent had the authority to treat Lil Meech with genuine respect in both the streets and Hollywood. Meech Jr. wasn't the only person he cast in the BMF series. An entire lane was given to him. An all-in-one picture protector, industry plug, mentor, and big brother. 50 was riding hard for Lil Meech for a while, even protecting him from the typical heat that comes with being a street legend's kid. However, in 2025 that connection blew out and the drama was loud, ugly, and well reported. When Big Meech was released from prison, it all began. It should have been a huge celebration at that moment. Now that Pops is out, his son has already established himself. By portraying him in a popular television program, a whole new generation was being introduced to the BMF legacy, which was on fire. However, Big Meech then did something that totally took 50 Cent by surprise. There, whatever unity they had broke down instead of being a victory lap. It became the beginning of a terrible fallout. Big Meech hosted a lavish welcome home performance and teamed up with Rick Ross, one of 50 Cent's most ardent long-standing adversaries. Yes, it was the line that 50 believed should never have been crossed, particularly since he was the one who preserved the Meech moniker in pop culture on television, and even behind the scenes monetarily by placing Lil Meech in that role.
already, so I really took a chance on using the money I had saved up for my family.
Yeah. I apologize for that, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
He had invested a great deal of time, money, and energy into the Fennery family. By the time he was 50, he felt completely deceived now. What then did 50 do? He grabbed the internet, his sharpest weapon. He unleashed it on Instagram, began shooting at Big Meech and Little Meech. Don't hold back in his most outrageous post. He shared a picture of a big rat that went viral with the remark, "I think I'm Big Meech," a chilly take on the famous quote by Rick Ross. In essence, He was outright accusing Big Meech of being a snitch. The internet was ablaze after that post. They called me Big Meech. He claimed it didn't end there either. For Lil Meech, 50 turned the heat up to full blast. He began revealing behind-the-scenes information, saying Lil Meech had to be sent to rehab in the midst of production because she was acting out and getting high. Additionally, 50 offered evidence in addition to his words, "Damn, this is bad." He captioned a picture of Lil Meech slouched in a wheelchair with Amy Winehouse as rehabilitation plastered over it. "Now you believe me." Complete humiliation. In an attempt to dismiss it, Lil Meech told TMZ, "Everyone needs rehab where I'm from." But 50 wasn't done. "I think he's probably attempting to generate more interest in this major concert that I'm doing." 50 then becomes agitated by that, claiming that Meech was trying too hard to appear like a gangster even when the cameras weren't filming. He reposted the video and clowned him even more, stating something slick like, "He must not have heard them say cut." By now, Meech could actually feel the pressure. He attempted to hit 50 behind the scenes in an attempt to calm things down. But that maneuver didn't keep the silence long. Lil Meech sounded hurt, perplexed, and completely unprepared in the revealed text chats. "I've only ever shown you love," he wrote in a message to 50. "I never changed. I'm confused by this online thing. You're actually acquainted with me," attempting to demonstrate his continued loyalty. In those same texts, he even made fun of Rick Ross by joking, "KF Ross, however, in order to help my dad pay his costs till the next season, he gave him some bread. He wasn't buying it though." 50. He criticized those messages on Instagram rather than keeping them confidential, complete with a snarky caption. He publicly made fun of Meech and even hinted that the BMF program would be fired. Then, he was very clear, "The Meech business is finished." He abruptly severed all connections. The atmosphere surrounding Lil Meech changed completely after that, both in the industry and on the streets. That representative sticks around when someone like 50 Cent, who is seen as genuine, ruthless, and respected, publicly criticizes you for being unappreciative and false, particularly in hip-hop, where allegiance is valuable. You can still recover from beefing, however. It's professional suicide if people believe you abandoned the man who gave you your chance. To make matters worse, Lil Meech's subsequent actions destroyed any possibility of a resurgence. He went into full rebel mode rather than remaining low or attempting to tidy up the mess. He was spotted partying in Miami with Floyd Mayweather and Rick Ross, two of 50 Cent's bitterest rivals. That isn't one.
Anything, or did he just kind of unfollow Lil Meech?
Well, he posted a rat.
That is a perfect example of a 50's rival circle. Then he exacerbated it. He shared a photo of them on social media with the message "Real Power." Yes, a direct challenge to the power franchise of the 50's in an attempt to change the narrative. His team claimed that Meech was unconcerned, concentrating on fresh business strategies and going about his own business without 50. However, no one was buying it at that time for many. It only validated what 50 had been saying all along. Lil Meech lacked true devotion and would change sides as soon as things became difficult. 50 Cent permanently closed that door. His supporters did the same. And Lil Meech, once regarded as a rising star, and the next heir to the BMF legacy, became perceived by many as just another affluent child who made a big mistake and strained relations with the same people who had first helped him succeed. And in a world where sincerity, loyalty, and respect are paramount, Lil Meech is yearning to fit in. You're done without those. The moniker is essentially all that Lil Meech has left, and even that can quickly deteriorate if the mess continues to accumulate. His career is filled with minor missteps, aside from the issue involving 3 Luck and the huge blowout with 50 Cent. Not significant enough to destroy his career on its own, but put together it portrays a messy image every few months. There seems to be a new story, another viral event, or another reason why people are starting to criticize him. And that type of continuous attention isn't helpful when you're trying to maintain a reputation as legendary as Big Meech's. Now, let's go back to 2022 during a watch. Meech was arrested in Miami on allegations of grand theft and fraud. Not just any watch, though. A Richard Mille for $250,000. Reports state that he entered a high-end jeweler, dipped and scooped a Richard Mille while delivering a Rolex as collateral, still owing close to $200,000. He apparently attempted to swap the same watch at another retailer as though it were entirely his, which made it even more dubious. There was a fraudster vibe to that move. Even though the charges were subsequently dropped, the internet had already cooked up the narrative when the tale went viral. The BMF star was nabbed for watch fraud rather than for his acting or legacy. A horrible sight. He appeared to be a youngster doing far too much to stunt for the gram rather than a boss. Additionally, his personal life hasn't been good for him either. In little time at all. His friendship with R&B artist Summer Walker became pure blog fodder. It was messy behind the scenes, even though they shared a few adorable moments on social media. Rumors of cheating began to circulate, followed by one of the most bizarre incidents to date, the entire musty scenario, claiming that Lil Meech smelled horrible. Comedian Jess Funny went live and made fun of him. In front of everyone, she called him musty on television, joking that Summer Walker must have had a strong stomach to put up with him. The internet was enraged by that one joke. Imagine this now. As the son of a mobster with a legacy to preserve, and a tough guy reputation to cultivate, Meech is being criticized by the internet for not applying deodorant. Putting Funny Jess on blast was his only attempt at clapping back. He shared earlier direct messages in which she was purportedly flirting with him, stating, "You didn't think I smelled bad back then." However, the harm had already been done when he hit the post if left to their own devices. These incidents could appear to be the usual celebrity gaffes that any young, well-known man might make. However, when you align everything, a completely distinct image begins to emerge. Lil Meech doesn't have the air of a shrewd street celebrity. He appears careless, immature, and as though he is only using his father's name, without really deserving of the respect that comes with it. People in the hip-hop community, particularly the original artists, and those who actually lead that lifestyle, are not interested in what he has to offer. They look past the red carpet antics and Instagram gimmicks. It's all surface to them. And it's a complete contrast when they place him next to Big Meech. Big Meech took genuine risks, created something from nothing, and faced genuine repercussions. They regard Lil Meech as the person who should be carrying the BMF torch. That's just not how this kid is built. Furthermore, it has nothing to do with attending a private school or having a comfortable upbringing. He has a better life than his parents, yet no one is upset about it. The deed itself is a true issue. One fan put it simply. Lil Meech was not made fun of by 50 for attending a posh school. He made fun of him for acting as though he didn't. And that's where it all starts, genuineness. That's the one thing you can't fake in hip-hop and authentic street culture. If you have never been under actual strain, you cannot talk tough. If you don't survive the storm, you can't claim the grind. Additionally, the bar is much higher when your name is Meech. People won't respect you if you're out here picking battles online, chasing influence, getting sucked into pointless drama, and acting like you were made for the trenches. They will be amused. Interview 9.
Only the people who are still foolish enough to believe that BMF is still in its glory days, yeah, only those idiots would be surprised by a revelation like this. Okay? To the people watching this channel, and anyone else with a brain and the eyes to see, would have seen this coming from a mile away. I mean, little Meech has been a snake ever since, I don't know, he might have been a snake ever since he was born. I think dude was, I think he was raised by snakes. Because actually we know he was. Big Meech is a snake. Big Meech betrayed 50. Dishonorable. A fraud. Someone who cannot be trusted under any circumstances, ever. Okay? So Big Meech is a snake, and Little Meech is his son. That's his little seed, right? So what's gonna happen with Little Meech? He's gonna be even worse, right? A snake who was never respected, that's even worse. At least Big Meech got his respect by building it out of nothing. He built that empire brick by brick. You know what I mean? Layer by layer. Day by day, he was at it. I mean, regardless of what you feel about what BMF did and the morality around it, you gotta respect the dedication and the grind that he had and the work ethic to get this stuff off the ground. Even though maybe it's not your normal type of work ethic, right? It's a little bit more, there's more aggression behind it, but nonetheless, that can still be admirable in many ways. Not something like that is not easily achievable, right? Even if you had the exact amount of weight that these guys were moving, you still might not have the connections and the logistical prowess to be able to do these things without getting caught and do them at a high enough level to scale up like BMF did, right? So impressive nonetheless. And that's why Big Meech got his respect, right? Before he snaked out 50, he was already respected. Little Meech, on the other hand, we kind of look at you like, you know, you're like a less embarrassing version of like a King Harris. You're like a less embarrassing version of that, and a less rich version of that too. You're a less embarrassing, less rich version, less wealthy version of King Harris. Right? That's how like everyone looks at you, bro. We don't respect you like people respected Big Meech. No, you look like a goofy. You're a little Meech. You ain't never pressed a button in the street. You ain't never done nothing in the street, bruh. Come on now. You ain't never pushed nobody's wig back. You ain't never pushed bricks across the water. You're not that guy, pal. You're living off your daddy's name. That's an L. You don't have anything to your own name, bruh. You don't have anything to your own legacy. You're living off of BMF former glory days. That's over now. That's over. You can't live off that no more. 50 took that away from you. Really, y'all took it away from yourselves because y'all wanted to betray 50. Y'all thought it was gonna be cool. You know, we meeting up with Ross. Ross got the bag right now. He's got that instant gratification that we want. This is how black people do things. They'll betray you in a short-sighted manner because they can only see from a short-sighted view of what's gonna be beneficial right now. That's all black people care about. What's beneficial right now. Not every black person in the world, but a large, overwhelming majority. Okay? I would stand on that, debate it with anyone. No one will ever beat me in that debate ever in life. I'll crush you and destroy you, demolish you, and annihilate you in front of everyone on this planet. Okay? You don't want to debate me on that. You don't want to. So just sit in your place and listen to what I'm saying right now. Okay? But yeah, a majority of black people have this type of mentality where they want what's beneficial in the moment. They don't really care about the future. They don't really think about far ahead. This is why we have so many single mothers, because it's beneficial in the moment to, you know what I mean? To get that pleasure off. It's beneficial in the moment to get that pleasure off, but you're not thinking about the repercussions of what's gonna happen later on down the line from that one single moment of pleasure, right? This is how black people think, man. And this is a major problem with black people. This is a problem. This is a problem, people. This is a crisis. Okay? Something that needs to be addressed, acknowledged, and annihilated, right? And dismantled, right? And until we have that, we're gonna keep seeing situations like this, right? We're gonna keep seeing black people snake on each other. I'm not even really worried about the whole Little Meech and Big Meech thing part of it. Yeah, that's whatever, you know. They never really had any morals to begin with. These guys were always scumbags. Let's get real, okay? I would have never trusted a Big Meech or a Little Meech ever in my life, okay? You're an idiot if you would have trusted anyone who is willing to basically unalive their own people to make millions, okay? No matter how impressive it is. You don't trust or respect that, okay? You gotta be a fool, right? And so, yeah, I've always known that, you know, these guys have always been snakes. But the real problem is, it's a bigger problem than these two snakes. You know, who cares about these clowns? The real problem is the black community. We need to eliminate that problem where people always want to snake each other out because they think there's a quick, instant gain. You know? This is why we've came up with the term backdoor. You know, in white communities, there's no term called backdoor. Like, okay, do you understand what that means? That means that in the black community, it is so common for someone to snake their own brother out, or someone who looks like them, right? It is so common for them to betray someone who looks like them and possibly leave them for dead, or leave them broke with nothing, or with their belongings taken from them, right? And that's how popular it is to do that in our community, that we've coined a term for it called backdoor. You gotta watch that backdoor. You know, we've made a colloquialism for this scenario because it's so prevalent. It happens every single day. That's a problem. That's a crisis. That's not okay. You can't just listen to what I'm saying and it's going in one ear and out the other. No, we need to make an actual change about this. You know, we need to be speaking about this. We need to be getting my message out here. We need to be getting this message out here. Not only my message, Umar's message. A lot of other people in the community who are speaking this message. Jay Main's talking about this type of stuff, right? Like this video, like videos like these. Make sure that this stuff gets out there. It's up to you guys too, right? We all gotta work together on this or we're not gonna see a change. And I hope everyone who's watching this agrees that it's a problem. It is a massive problem that backdooring, and basically what I should say is betraying your own brother, betraying someone who looks just like you for instant gratification, an instant quick flip, an instant win, an instant robbery, right? It's so common that it's actually a term that is only really used to describe our communities. No one else uses backdoor. You won't hear an Indian saying, oh yeah, he was about to backdoor me, bro. I had to watch for that backdoor. Yeah, that might not be a good accent, but still, you understand? You're not gonna hear that. You're not gonna hear that. You're not gonna hear any of these other people talking about that. You're not about to hear, you're definitely not about to hear a Jewish person saying, you gotta watch that backdoor, unless they're talking about black communities and making a joke. You know what I mean? But you're never gonna hear them saying that about their own community, because Jewish people don't backdoor each other. They help each other. They uplift each other in every way possible. That's why they became a global superpower, right? Because they were incredibly intelligent. They knew that, okay, wait, if we work together, we'll be stronger than everyone else, because everyone else is disillusioned. Everyone else is separated. You know, they have no community. They have no structure. We're gonna destroy them. We're gonna crush them. You know what I mean? And they were absolutely right. You know, they had a brilliant strategy. It worked 1000%. It was 1000% effective. You know, it was effective, and they were able to dominate the global sphere through that. Swear to God, this is what happened. This is what's possible. You know, they didn't start out like that. They started out oppressed. They started out oppressed, bro. They did not start out like that, bro. They did not start out like that. But now, look where they're at. After everything happened in World War II, they were like, nah, you ain't better hit. That ain't never gonna happen like that again, bro. I promise you. We finna become a global superpower, and no one's gonna wanna speak bad about us, because even just speaking about us bad is going to get you, yeah, you know what I mean? So they flipped the whole script on the world. That's what black people need to do, but we're way too ignorant to do stuff like that. Not because we don't have the capability, but because we're too ignorant, and we're too deep inside of this degenerate culture. We're too deep in this hedonism, right? And we're too obsessed with the idea of backdooring people who look like us for a quick instant gain, right? Which is ultimately going to be fleeting and something that has no longevity to it. It'll be something that will come and go. And once it goes, you have nothing. You don't have your people. You don't have a community. You don't have trust. You don't have respect. All you have is the scent of betrayal on you. You know what I mean? All you have is the look of a traitor. That is all you have at that point. Hold up, there's a fly. Let me kill this fly, bro. Give me a second. But yeah, y'all, let me know your thoughts about everything I was mentioning in this video in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications if you want to see more content from an intellectual titan like myself, right? You want to see more mind-blowing, thought-provoking content that we're dropping every single day, right? You want to see more of this, then you know what to do. You know what to do. You want to be a part of a community of like-minded individuals, people on a higher level of consciousness, people who are a cut above the degenerates, who are still believing that BMF are somehow in their glory days because Big Meech is out now, because Big Meech is home. Get the hell out of here, you delusional idiot. Get out of my face. Just get out of my face with that delusion. Okay. Right. Are you? If you're a cut above those degenerates, and you want to be a part of a community of like-minded individuals, right? Then you know what to do. Don't make me say it again. Snow is right here. Tuning out. Be easy, y'all.